Welcome back. Lots of reaction to the president tapping federal housing director Bill Pulte to serve as acting director of national intelligence. He would replace Tulsi Gabbard, who is stepping aside at the end of the month. Senate Democrats now reportedly urging GOP leaders to pressure the president into reversing it and withdrawing the appointment, threatening to, quote, tank the extension of Section 702 of the FISA Act, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, if the president refuses. Democrats say Pulte has no national security experience, but President Trump says his work leading Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac will overlap with these new responsibilities. Joining me now is Arkansas Congressman Rick Crawford. He's the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. Mr. Chairman, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. What's your take on Bill Pulte as DNI?
Well, first off, the fact that these Democrats over in the Senate are wringing their hands about a potential nominee, he's an acting DNI. That's what the president has stated. So it's not as though he needs their opinion because he's acting. He's not asking for him to be confirmed. Let me put a little bit of historic context here. The argument is that he doesn't have any national security experience. Well, take a look at some people who did have national security experience. People like John Brennan and James Clapper. James Clapper was the DNI under Obama, and he helped orchestrate the Russia collusion hoax against President Trump. That's what IC experience gets you. If that's all you're worried about, then maybe you should think about something else. I mean, this guy, whether anybody knows about him or not, at least is not guilty of trying to orchestrate a coup against a sitting president of the United States. So I would say that bodes well for him. As far as the Democrats using this as an excuse to say no to 702, you're saying no to national security because you're butthurt about the fact that you weren't consulted about a nominee that the president has put forward in an acting capacity. So get over yourselves for 5 minutes. Let's worry about national security and move on to the next challenge.
Yeah, it's a great point that you make all around, Congressman, I've got to say, and particularly the point about John Brennan and Clapper, who made up stories and pushed this lie of Russia collusion, and they had all the experience that the Democrats are referring to. But look, the authorization of the nation's foreign spy powers is expiring next week, and the Democrats are threatening to tank it if, in fact, Bill Pulte stays. Your reaction?
Again, this is playing politics with national security. You can't hold something like this hostage because you don't like the president's pick for acting DNI. I mean, that's just completely childish. Like I said, take a beat here, get over yourselves for a second, and recognize we're dealing with national security stuff here that transcends administrations and personalities. This is very, very important stuff here. You're sent to Washington to do a job with some measure of maturity and responsibility, so just do it.
Well, Mr. Chairman, a Washington Examiner op-ed makes the case for you to serve as the next director of national intelligence, writing this, quote, whoever is chosen as the next full-time DNI must understand the intelligence community from day one. Fortunately, that person exists. It's Representative Rick Crawford. The column says the country needs someone who understands both what America's intelligence gets right and where it falls short. Are you interested in the job?
Well, I mean, you kind of put me on the spot here. Of course, if the president called me up and said, hey, I'd like you to consider this, obviously I'm going to take that call. But here's what I know. We've got a lot of things on the table here in the House. I was elected to do this job. I love the job that I'm doing. And we've got FISA 702 that we're working on. We've got an IAA markup within just a couple of weeks. Those are big, important things for national security. That's what I'm focused on.
Well, I mean, look, the Democrats are trying to stop the agenda at any cost. The Senate is set to begin debate today on the $70 billion GOP budget reconciliation, which would provide funding for ICE and Customs and Border Patrol. But we're expecting this vote-a-rama marathon series of amendments to be added. The debate comes after Republican lawmakers cleared two major hurdles. First, dropping the Justice Department's anti-weaponization fund. That was a sticking point in securing support for the bill. And then removing $1 billion in security for President Trump's White House ballroom project, Mr. Chairman. So your thoughts on where this package goes?
Again, getting into personalities and ways that they can try to punish the president by, going after certain things that are his priorities. I mean, the reality is those things are that fund that was being called the 1776 fund, that's been in existence for decades. It's nothing to see here. As far as the ballroom, look, most of that's privately funded anyway, but you still have to secure it. I mean, look what happened at the White House Correspondents Association dinner. There's a reason why we need a facility like that. So, again, let's put your personalities aside and focus on the task at hand, and don't hold these things hostage that need to happen. We've got Mark Wayne Mullen out there doing yeoman's work as the Director of Homeland Security, Secretary of Homeland Security, on a pieced together budget. And he's waiting for the Senate to deliver, and we just need them to do their jobs.
No, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, the Democrats, every day, it's something else. There's just the ballroom, and then it's the anti-weaponization fund, then it's something else. Now it's Bill Pulte. They don't want to advance President Trump's agenda. I mean, the president is expressing optimism about a potential deal with Iran. He told reporters yesterday that an agreement could come as soon as this weekend. Watch this.
The negotiation itself has gone very well, actually. Very well.
Mr. President.
It could happen. I mean, if it happens, and it might not happen, who knows? But if it happens, it could happen like over the weekend. If we can get something down in writing which will accomplish the same thing without killing everybody, I'd like to do that. Most of my people, I think, would like to do that. In theory, they're pretty close to signing a paper. We've actually gotten along with them very well.
And yet, Congressman, 4 Republicans joined Democrats in voting to pass a war powers resolution. 215 to 208, that would require congressional authorization before any more on the military conducting operations against Iran. The president posted on Truth Social moments ago this: yesterday, in a meaningless vote, the House voted to limit my war powers right in the middle of my final negotiations. Who would do such an unpatriotic thing? They know where the negotiations stand. Mr. Chairman, you've said the president has exhausted every diplomatic avenue possible. Where does this war head next?
Well, I think what we're seeing here, and the president has been very clear and forthright about this, he's giving them every option before he has to exercise a kinetic option. But the reality is we're on the cusp of history, whether it be through diplomatic channels or whether it requires a little more of a kinetic approach. Either way, this president is stepping up to correct the problem that's been going on for 47 years. Nobody else had the intestinal fortitude to do it. So I think give this guy a little bit of latitude to resolve this. He's showing good faith on the diplomatic side, but backing that up with lethal diplomacy, if you will, is what I would call it. So look, the Iranians have 2 options. They can play nice, which the president is giving them the option to do, or they can suffer the consequences. So the choice is theirs, but there's going to be a reckoning. Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a reckoning. Do you believe that the House can get together with another reconciliation package before the midterms to achieve the other priorities that you're looking at?
Oh, the House can do a lot of things, and we have done a lot of things. So it's not the House that I'm worried about. I'm worried about whether the Senate can deliver something and send it to us. But we can certainly do that, just like we did on 702. We actually passed 702, so we're waiting on the Senate to do the same thing. And I would really like for them just to take our bill, sign it, and send it to the president. But, they've got to put their spin on it and put their little fine points on it. That's fine. I get it. But look, we've already demonstrated what we're capable of doing with 2 votes to spare, by the way, and we're still getting it done. And so I think Speaker Mike Johnson should be commended for his ability to thread that needle. So we're basically waiting on the Senate, but so's the rest of the country.
Yeah, for sure. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Thank you, sir.
You bet. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chairman, Rick Crawford. Stay with us. We'll be right back.